My girlfriend kept begging me not to visit her job, so I went anyway and met her new boss. Something was off with my girlfriend Marcy, and I couldn't figure out what. 3 weeks ago, she started texting me things she'd never said before. Don't come inside when picking me up. Just wait in the parking lot. Then, babe, seriously, stop showing up at my job. It's embarrassing. I can get a different ride. This is the same girl who used to blush and twirl her hair every time I walked into Scoops, the ice cream parlor where she works. That's actually where we met. I asked for her number, and she wrote it in purple pen on a napkin with a little smiley face. I used to stop by all the time just to flirt. Then Scoops got a new manager, and suddenly I wasn't allowed through the door. When I asked Marcy what the new guy was like, she said he was Flynn Rider-esque. My girlfriend compared her real-life boss to a Disney prince. So on my next day off, I checked the schedule photo Marcy always kept on the fridge, made sure she wasn't working, and drove down to Scoops to meet this guy myself. Not in a crazy way, just in a normal, totally not threatened way. I walked into Scoops, and the guy at the register welcomes me. I look over and see this dude who looked like he was assembled in a factory, designed to ruin other men's self-esteem. Tall, dark, swoopy hair, jawline you could open a letter with. I'm standing there in basketball shorts and a wrinkled shirt that says, "Baseball is life," and this guy looks like he jumped off of a cologne ad. I panicked and told him some jerk outside parked in the handicap spot. Total lie. Just needed a reason to talk. He thanked me and said he'd check on it later, then asked if I wanted to try their new flavor. His name was Drew, and he was annoyingly friendly. Asked about my shirt, said he played baseball in high school too. Pitcher, obviously. We talked for a few minutes, and I was starting to feel dumb for even being here when Drew said, "Man, my girlfriend would love this conversation. She's obsessed with baseball." I kept it casual. "Oh yeah? She go to school around here?" Drew shook his head. "Nah, she actually works here. We started talking during closing shifts, and things just kind of happened." My chest tightened, but I kept my face normal. "That's cool. How long?" Drew smiled. "Officially, like 2 weeks, but we've been talking for about a month." I nodded slowly. "She sounds great." "She is," Drew said. "Only thing is, she doesn't want anyone knowing about us yet. Says the other workers would freak and doesn't want to cause drama. She's so sweet." He said it like it was just casual gossip between two guys. I swallowed hard. My hands were shaking under the counter, but I kept asking questions like I was just making conversation. "What's she like?" Drew leaned back and grinned. "Like I said, super sweet. Always doodling on stuff with this purple pen she carries everywhere. Writes everything with it. Notes, schedules, even wrote my number on a napkin that she keeps in her purse." My ears started ringing. I thanked Drew for the conversation, walked to my car, sat down, and just stared at the steering wheel. I never told Drew who I was. It wasn't his fault he didn't know. Then I drove straight to Marcy's house. Marcy lives with her family but has the whole basement to herself, her own little setup down there. When I pulled up, her car wasn't in the driveway. She wasn't home. But her dad, Mr. Cruz, was out front watering the lawn. Mr. Cruz is the kind of dad I always wished I had. He once fixed my truck's alternator in his driveway for free, just because I mentioned it was making a noise. He saw my face when I got out of the car and turned the hose off. "You alright, son?" I wasn't alright, but I also didn't plan on telling him anything. I was there to talk to Marcy. However, the words just fell out of me before I could stop them. "Mr. Cruz, I think Marcy's been cheating on me with her manager at Scoops. The guy told me himself. He didn't even know I was her boyfriend." Mr. Cruz stood there for a long time. He didn't ask if I was sure, didn't defend her. He just coiled the hose slowly, wiped his hands on his jeans, and looked at me with this heavy, quiet disappointment I'd never seen on him before. "Come inside." He got me a Coke from the fridge, sat me on the couch, and turned the baseball game on. We didn't talk, just sat there watching the game in silence. And somehow that silence from a man who wasn't even my father felt more like home than anywhere I'd been in a long time. Then about 40 minutes later, I heard a car pull into the driveway. Mr. Cruz muted the TV. We both looked at the door. Marcy walked in laughing into her phone. "I know, stop, you're so dumb." She was giggling to whoever was on the other end, twirling her keys around her finger like she didn't have a single worry in the world. She saw me on the couch, and her face flickered for half a second, then went stone cold. She hung up without saying goodbye. "Why are you here?" she asked, crossing her arms. I stood up. "Marcy, we need to talk." She tilted her head like I'd just said something ridiculous. "Talk about what? You showing up at my house uninvited?" I took a breath. "I talked to Drew today." Marcy's eyes went wide for 1 second, then she rebuilt the wall. "So you went to my job, harassed my coworker, and now you're here making up stories. This is exactly why I told you to stop coming by. You're just jealous because you know Drew is better than you." She turned to her dad, switching into this soft, shaky voice. "Daddy, I've been telling him to give me space and he won't listen. He's scaring me. He went to my job and started interrogating people about me. Can you please say something?" Mr. Cruz didn't move, didn't look at her. He just sat there staring at the muted TV screen. "Dad," Marcy said again, voice cracking. "Daddy, please. He's lying. Whatever he told you, it's not true. Drew is just my manager. Nothing is going on." I watched her say Drew's name without me ever telling her which coworker I talked to. Mr. Cruz finally turned his head to look at his daughter. "You know I can't stand a cheater," he said, his voice low and steady. "Your mother and I didn't raise you to treat people this way, and I definitely didn't raise you to stand in my living room and lie to my face." Marcy's whole performance crumbled. She looked between us, mouth opening and closing, searching for one more card to play. "You're seriously taking his side? Over your own daughter? He's just some guy." Mr. Cruz's jaw tightened. "That boy has been more honest with me in 20 minutes than you've been in 3 weeks. Go to your room. We're done here." Marcy's face twisted. She stormed toward the basement stairs and screamed, "You're both going to regret this!" The door slammed so hard a picture frame on the wall tilted tilted sideways. I sat there for a minute, just breathing. Mr. Cruz unmuted the game. We watched another inning before I finally said, "I'm going to end it with her." He nodded once and said, "I'd respect you less if you didn't." I went downstairs. Marcy was sitting on her bed with mascara streaked down her face, already typing on her phone, probably texting Drew. I told her it was over. She threw her phone at the wall and called me pathetic. Said Drew was twice the man I'd ever be. Said I'd never find anyone better. When I came back upstairs, I stood in the hallway for a second. Part of me thought I should just leave quietly, slip out the front door before things got more awkward. But Mr. Cruz was already standing there by the door, like he'd been waiting. He looked at me for a moment, then reached out and shook my hand. "I'm having my 4th of July barbecue in 3 weeks," Mr. Cruz said. "You're coming, not as Marcy's boyfriend, as my guest." I almost laughed, but I didn't. I just nodded. I went to that barbecue and ate 3 plates.